The results are trickling in. They are shaping up in interesting ways because at a local government level, it almost seems guaranteed that there'll be change. The question becomes whether or not this will translate to national government.
Yes, you are correct. Looking at the results at local government level, you find that the opposition UDC, led by Zuma Sosa, has actually been able to get more seats at local government election level. And therefore, there's a prediction that they will do well at the national level as well. But, you know, with elections, you have to wait until that time when you know exactly that indeed this is happening. But if the trend is holding, you are going to see a situation where the current governing party, the BDP, performing badly during these elections. And people are already thinking or maybe factoring in a possibility of Zuma Sosa coming in as a president of Botswana. But counting has started now with the national seats. We are waiting to see whether this trend will hold.
Yeah, this was one of the most hotly contested elections in Botswana, and I wonder what you reckon made the difference. What it seems, at least at a local government level, allowed the pendulum to swing to the other side.
When you talk about local government level, you talk about cold face of service delivery. So it speaks to the fact that people are not happy at local government election. I think BDP has dropped the ball in terms of servicing its constituency and Botswana in general. But also you have other factors. The issue of what must happen in relation to hunting in that country. And then secondly, the issue of the diamond mines and how you utilize those resources could have been a factor. The last issue will be the tension between the president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, and the former president, Ian Khama, could have also contributed to this. So you'll find that by nature, Botswana are very calm, peaceful people, and you wouldn't have seen the anger palpable, you know, and obvious. But it looks like they were harboring anger also in terms of the direction the country was taking under Mokgweetsi Masisi. And many people have predicted that in Botswana, that we spoke to the leaders of political parties that we spoke to in Botswana, that the direction the country is taking, they are not happy, particularly the thorny issue of China making inroads in Botswana. And therefore, those issues could have contributed to this shift, but we don't know whether in terms of national seats, this trend will hold. If this trend is holding, clearly Zuma Sosa will be the next president of Botswana. But we are now at a stage where now counting is at national and with the national seats.
Yeah, we'll speak about the relationship between Ian Khama and Mokgweetsi Masisi in just a moment. But let's, as a start, just better understand this opposition coalition, the UDC, that seems to be, you know, resonating with the electorate. Do we know what the leadership structure in this particular coalition looks like? Which parties are involved and whether or not there's any kind of clarity about how they would run the country if they were to win?
For now, UDC is led by Zuma Sosa. It's an independent party, but he has been working with other parties, smaller parties. And therefore, I think for now, you can credit UDC if it is able to pull enough seats at national level and he's able to become a president-elect. And clearly, he has been working very hard. I mean, I remember I spoke to him, I think 2 months or 3 months ago. He was in the country and he was complaining about how the Electoral Commission in that country that is more aligned to the political party BDP was conducting its business. But I think realizing that the Electoral Commission is not listening and taking their grievances seriously, they took a decision to work with other political parties to ensure that they manned the polling station and they also mobilize Botswana to go in numbers to vote. Because if you want to win elections, you have to consolidate your base. You have to make sure all people who support you, who are behind you as a political party, go to the polls. And after that, you can look at getting support of people from other parties. When you look at what happened with the ANC, ANC actually lost elections because the hardcore ANC voters and supporters didn't go to vote. Those votes didn't go anywhere. If ANC was able during elections to mobilize its core constituency, push to ensure that anyone who supports or who believes in the organization previously is at the polling station, ANC wouldn't have lost elections. That is why previously, when you look at how ANC won KZN, how it had performed better even in the Western Cape during Mandela and Mbeki time, it was because they made a point, there was a clear strategy to ensure that your core constituency is there voting. And as you do that, you also have to look who you are fielding. For example, in the province like Western Cape, you have to look at the demographics and the race and gender in that province and field a proper candidate. And even your chairperson in that province, you have to take that into consideration. So I think in this case, that's what UDC was able to do in Botswana to ensure that their core constituency, they go out in numbers to vote.
Yeah. If South Africa has Cyril Ramaphosa and Jacob Zuma, Botswana has Mokgweetsi Masisi and Ian Khama, I wonder to what extent you reckon the relationship between these two men in that country has also allowed these political sands to shift the way they have?
When you look at Ian Khama, he was supporting the other party, not necessarily UDC, but he had a good relationship with the leader of the UDC. So much as the party that he supported, that we know that he was supporting previous elections, because this time around he tried to stay clear of politics. He's in the country, he's lying low. Only a day before elections, he indicated that he's not going to go back to politics, but rather focus on his role as the chief. But that party got votes also. And, you know, when you divide the votes, and I'll go back to the African National Congress, when you have MK, a breakaway from ANC, when you have EFF, much as EFF, it's not necessarily a breakaway because they were expelled, but most of EFF voters and constituency are the people, many of them, their parents grew under the ANC and supported the ANC. You've had COPE, including Rise Mzansi, because when you look at Rise Mzansi, it will be your young people, the professionals, but when you look at their history background in terms of parents and they themselves, some of them, you'll find that some of them were actually supporting the ANC. People like Musima Imani with the ANC background, but then left to go to DA. So those splits and they contribute towards the party not performing well. So much as the party that former President Ian Khama supported previously didn't do as good as this one, UDC, those few votes that they took, you divide the BDP, and it was bound to have these challenges. And therefore, I think you can draw the parallels with South Africa and Botswana. You are correct. What happened during the last elections with former President Jacob Zuma having this outfit where he encouraged people that supported him to vote for that party. On the other hand, you have other high profile or people that are known to certain people within the voter pool of the ANC also starting their own little, parties.
Yeah, absolutely. From what seems to be a consequential election closer to home to the big contestation taking place in the US very quickly, Ms. Sophie, the mudslinging has, I think, ramped up completely as we watch Kamala Harris and Donald Trump vie for a position in the White House. And, it's a bit difficult to tell, at least now, given how wrong some of the polling has been, by the way, in the US, who's likely to take it.
Yes, it's quite difficult right now to predict, much as some people are saying Kamala Harris has got an edge. And that would be, for me, I think, in terms of the popular vote. But the electoral vote the electoral college can be very complicated. And therefore, that's where you can have an upset. And therefore, I think for now, it's a very, very tight race. And both candidates are pushing very hard with 5 days left to go to elections. And the whole world is watching. You saw yesterday Donald Trump even talking about his message to Benjamin Netanyahu that he must end this war before he gets into power if he gets elected. So you can see also he was trying to sway those Muslim votes that are very angry with the current administration for supporting Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu to continue with this war in the Middle East. And it might be a small vote, but you know, even one vote does count during elections. So you can see now it's a tactical move, and you know, you make one mistake, you are going to lose elections. And that is why many people are predicting that the results of this election in the United States of America, if what we see can hold in terms of tight race, we are not going to get the results immediately as we are accustomed to. But it will be some protracted hours. And two, there can be court challenges. And the Americans, as we speak, they are hoping that sense will prevail from both sides, no matter the challenge or the views, that will not lead to what we saw the last elections in January when Donald Trump was trying to mobilize the nation to resist the outcome of the results.
Absolutely. We'll watch that space very closely. I'm not sure about your timeline, but mine is filled with rhetoric around the US election. I suppose it doesn't help that Elon Musk is also fully in the sauce, as we'd say. But
I have a reprieve today. My TL is full of Botswana, which is good. And also Mozambique, and I'm told the leader of the opposition is not in Mozambique, he's in South Africa. I'm trying to track him. I don't know. They are not responding, which I suspect that the leader of Renamo might be in South Africa. So even in Mozambique, we still have an issue to resolve in terms of finalization of elections in that country.
Absolutely. Well, if it's true, I know you'll be the first to find and confirm it for us. Sophie Mokoena, thanks very much indeed, as always. Sophie Mokoena is our international desk editor here at SABC News.